The Fed's top names are on Bloomberg Radio. Boston Fed President Susan Collins.
I would say it's not a done deal in terms of what we do at the next meeting.
Chicago Fed President Austin Goolsbee.
I want to get more information. I'm still undecided.
Richmond Fed President Thomas Barkin.
Absolutely critical of the independence of the Fed. That does not mean the Fed is not held accountable.
For the latest headlines from the Fed, listen on Bloomberg 1130 or anytime on the Bloomberg Talks podcast.
My mom has taken up going to the park to practice yoga.
My dad's going to a club, but not a book club, a salsa club.
Finding new hobbies comes with age.
My mom has started getting lost and not knowing where she's going.
Becoming lost or disoriented doesn't. Confusion with time or place may be a sign of Alzheimer's. An early diagnosis can help improve the quality of life for your loved one. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
How is Africa riding the crypto wave? Why are record coffee prices a double-edged sword? And what do China's economic woes mean for African debt? I'm Jennifer Zabasaja. Join me for Next Africa, a podcast from Bloomberg that offers a weekly dive into one business or economic story from across the continent. Listen to Next Africa on Apple CarPlay or Android Auto with the Bloomberg Business app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Influential conversations from Bloomberg Television. Here's Matt Miller and Danny Berger.
Joining us now is Farouk Katwari. Ethan Allen, Chairman, President, and CEO. Ethan Allen manufactures about 75% of its furniture in North America, about half in the U.S. How are you setting up for these potential new taxes?
30 years back, when manufacturing was leaving the United States, we decided that we will stay in North America. Not an easy decision. Well, it has given us a good opportunity. First is, we had to make sure that we had the more efficient manufacturing in the United States. We've been very fortunate to have great talent. We've got to treat them well. And technology is important.
Right.
That
Well,
is also
can I ask you then about that 25% of your supply chain that is still coming not from North America? With those tariffs looming already, some tariffs being put on them, how are you thinking about it? What are you planning to do with it? Do you adjust or do you take the tariff hit?
A lot of that is affecting what we call non-furniture products, like, for instance, accessory products, textile products, rugs, some furniture also. I think as we go forward, we're looking at two things. One is sharing with our partners overseas and then taking some price increases. And we're going to see both of that in the next, few months.
Hear more interviews like this one on Bloomberg Television, streaming live on Bloomberg.com and the Bloomberg mobile app, or check your local cable listings.
Markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day on Bloomberg Radio, Bloomberg Television, and the Bloomberg Business app. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
8:53 a.m. here in the City of London. Good morning, I'm Caroline Hepker. European stocks are actually up by 0.1%, and even CAC stocks gaining 0.4%. Is this something of a relief rally as investors look to the next move in terms of the appointment of a new premier by Emmanuel Macron in Paris? In terms of the euro right now, we trade at 117.53, softer 0.1% against a weaker US dollar. The pound is firmer on cable, 0.2%. There's not much data, to be honest, to drive markets today. We're waiting for the CPI, the PPI data out of the US, and then the ECB rate decision and the Fed next week, obviously. S&P 500 E-minis are up by 0.1% for futures after we got close to another record high yesterday. And just lastly, gold is currently up 0.2%, keeping an eye on that. Those are the markets this hour.
Let's take a look at some stocks on the move today in Europe. I'm Tom McKenzie with Caroline Hepker. We are joined by Bloomberg reporter Chloe Melly. And Chloe, Anglo American, the mining stocks, very much in focus. This is a Bloomberg scoop around a potential merger. And my goodness, the move on Anglo is impressive, isn't it? Up 7.7% right now. The leading European stock in terms of the gains coming through. Talk us through that potential mining deal and what it's doing to the rest of the sector.
Yeah, absolutely. So Anglo American has agreed to combine with Teck Resources over in Canada, as you said, and that would be one of the biggest mining deals in over a decade. This is a so-called zero premium deal, which means that there's a target company that is not offered a premium over its current market value. So that's why they called it a merger of equals. Anglo will pay its investors $4.5 billion special dividend ahead of the combination, which might also explain why that share price is up and makes investors quite happy. It's interesting because both companies have actually been pursued by bigger miners in recent years. So we remember last year Anglo American fighting off the approach from BHP. Glencore was also tried to buy Teck in 2023. So it might be that Teck and Anglo bonded over that, but there's been a bit of a deal-making frenzy over the last couple of years in that mining sector. And so it's worth keeping in mind that the announcement of the deal could actually kick off new bids for Teck or Anglo American on the back of that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting, isn't it? That combined value, I mean, something like $50 billion, isn't it?
Yeah, 50 billion, yeah.
In terms of other stocks that we're thinking about then, so that massive M&A deal aside, outlook for the Italian lender Monte Paschi after it announced a takeover of Mediobanca.
Yes, so more M&A news. Is actually quite an M&A focused day today. So Monte Paschi actually was founded in 1472. That's a fun little tidbit. It's considered to be the world's oldest bank still on operation. It's finally won control over Mediobanca. So this is a 16 billion euro takeover deal, and that will create Italy's third largest bank with 230 billion euros in assets. This is kind of the culmination of a really impressive turnaround for Monte Paschi, which was nationalized in 2017, which is really not that long ago, and has only recently emerged from a really deep restructuring. A lot of that is thanks to the current CEO, who managed to kind of boost profitability, which in turn lifted the share price and then allowed the government to sell down that stake. The new deal is also good news for Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, who has been keen for a long time to establish a new large lender that could kind of rival UniCredit and Intesa. And that announcement of that deal really lifted the shares for both Paschi and also Mediobanca this morning.
In terms of defence tech, Saab is down, so it's feeling a bit of pressure. The stock is under a bit of pressure today. What is the rationale behind that on a day where we have a massive defence event taking place here in London? Yeah, so Saab was initiated at an underweight rating at Barclays this morning, which explains that weakness in the shares. It's perhaps not as well positioned as some other peers in that defence sector to take advantage fully of all that military build-up and defence spending that we see across Europe. It also comes just a few days after another underweight rating that it got at Morgan Stanley, with analysts being quite cautious of the expectations for that sector maybe being a little bit too lofty. The Morgan Stanley analysts had said that consensus was already 50% ahead of Saab's expansion targets, despite some risks with the execution. So something kind of worth keeping in mind with that European defence sector and the expectations that are being put on it.
Yeah, okay. So that's as we look at Saab and the stocks to watch this morning. Thank you so much, Chloe, for being with us. Chloe Millet there with our Stock Movers reports. You can listen to those 5-minute audio reports on the biggest winners and losers in the stock market. Subscribe to Stock Movers on Apple Podcasts, Spotify or anywhere else you listen. I was just picking up on the defence story. So I was talking actually ahead of this event. So London's opening the doors to thousands of people who are coming for one of the biggest defence events on the calendar in the year. It's happening at Docklands, and it's the DSEI. This is Defence and Security Equipment International event. It's usually an event that only kind of insiders go to, although very big company names, but now there is so much focus on defence M&A, on contracts after the UK won the shipbuilding deal for Norway for new frigates. It's going to be a very, very interesting event, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll be on the ground there later today as well, having a look at what's being displayed and speaking to executives. And to your point, of course, at a time when the UK, France, Germany specifically are spending heavily on defence. It's pretty consequential.
Okay, that's the one story we're thinking about today, but also we'll bring you the latest on France in the next part of Bloomberg Daybreak Europe. We're live from London and Paris this morning. This is Bloomberg.
The latest global headlines are now at your fingertips.
Subscribe to Bloomberg News now and get news when you want it on your schedule.
These are short audio reports that bring you the latest headlines with context.
Check in throughout the day for just a few minutes to stay on top of the latest news from around the world.
Bloomberg News Now is available 24 hours a day right on your smartphone.
Subscribe today on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you listen.
Bloomberg News Now. Context changes everything.
Live from the financial capital of the world, broadcasting across the globe, this is WBBR New York, Bloomberg 1130.